Hello everybody, it's Phoenix07 again, and I'm going to make another video. I created another tank. This one is specifically designed for betta breeding. Now, the problem with breeding bettas is they tend to be a very aggressive species, especially towards themselves. And while it's true that you can hold, a lot of females together and not have any issues, unfortunately males can't be kept with males because they'll fight to the death. Unless they've been bred together and have never been removed, neither one has been removed from a tank. The other problem is, with the males and females, they tend to be aggressive towards one another. And also, if one is ready to breed and the other one isn't, the one that's ready to breed will ceaselessly attack the other. And that could be the male or the female in this situation. And I have, in my personal experience, seen female bettas kill the males simply because they weren't ready to breed. So what I've done, and this is what is usually recommended when you're trying to breed bettas, is I've made a tank that has a separator. You can see right here with my pointer, and I have a hole right here drilled, so that way the female can come out into this area, which is going to be set up for the male. This divider actually serves two purposes. One, it keeps them separated until they're both ready to mate or breed. And the other purpose is see, I have some water turbulence up here on the top from the pump. And bettas are bubble nest breeders, which means that the male will blow a bubble nest out of mucus, and it's this nest there that they place their eggs, and it's also where the adult male will constantly be picking up the fry as they fall out of the nest and spit them back into the nest. So it's imperative that in breeding bettas that you allow for a surface that is calm and smooth, that will keep the bubble nest from breaking up on him. So what I did is, if you'll notice underneath at the bottom of the tank, you'll see a red and yellow plastic scrubby. That is my filter media, and yes, I tend to use them a lot. They're cheap. And what I did was I put a piece of plastic that comes from here all the way to this end of the tank. You'll see these two sponges, and you'll have noticed these before. I used this on an inline in-tank power filter. Well, I basically use the same principle. The water goes in because that plastic has been completely siliconed off from the bottom of the tank. The water will go in through those sponges, drop down to the very bottom of the tank, run all the way across through the plastic scrubbies, which go all the way across to the other side of the tank. And on the other side, right here, you can just barely make out the power cable. There's a pump right here. It's a very, very small little statuary pump, because like I said, I have to get as little amount of flow as possible, and I do want to make it as comfortable for the female as possible so that she's more ready to breed when the time comes. You'll notice that the tank is not completely filled, but it is in fact a little bit taller than what I want it to be. At some point I'm going to drop it down lower, but for demonstration purposes, this is as high as I got it now. So hopefully when all is said and done, I will have two bettas in here as soon as I get the tank cycled. Okay guys, I was talking about cycling this tank before I add my bettas into it, and that is a very crucial part of setting up any aquarium. And as such, there are a lot of ways to cycle an aquarium. But let's talk about cycling an aquarium. That is actually a misrepresentation of what's actually going to happen. The tank itself doesn't cycle. Okay, It's the filter, especially in freshwater tanks. The filter is what has to cycle. Okay, there's been a lot of confusion on people talking about, well, I'll take some gravel out of this freshwater aquarium and I'm going to put it in this aquarium and that'll seed the tank. That's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. The confusion is with saltwater tanks. Now, in saltwater tanks, the gravel, the live sand, the live rocks, crushed coral rubble, all that contains bacteria that helps filter the tank. However, in freshwater aquariums, that's just simply not the case. Freshwater tanks have to be cycled because the filter itself has to develop a healthy colony of bacteria. Now, what's happening is when you're cycling a tank, the most common method, and in my opinion, the most cruel method of cycling a tank is to take a live animal, a live fish, or 2 or 3 depending on the size of your tank, and putting them in an aquarium, and there they start to produce ammonia. Okay, all living creatures produce ammonia in their waste. Okay, their feces, their urine, that's where ammonia comes from. Okay, it is a natural byproduct of every living creature on this planet. Okay, except for bacteria. Now, what happens when you put this live fish in? Well, simple. What happens is it starts producing waste. As you feed it, it produces waste. The more you feed it, the more waste it produces. The more you feed it and it doesn't eat, the leftover food starts to rot. That produces more ammonia. Okay? Now, ammonia is a very, very toxic substance. Okay? If you look on the label of any ammonia product that you can buy, you will see you must use gloves. This product causes burns. So when you put this live animal in this water, in this tank, and let it produce waste, and it builds up enough ammonia that it starts a good colony in your filter, what's happening is your ammonia has spiked from 0.0 to 0.2, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. This is a very toxic, very deadly environment for that fish. That fish is experiencing burns. That fish is experiencing suffocation. It cannot breathe right. Its gills are burned every time it breathes in. Its body is being burned. Its eyes are being burned. It is being literally tortured in your tank when you're doing a fish cycle. Okay? And I'm not trying to get down on anybody. That's not the purpose of this video. But the thing is, there are other ways called a fishless cycle. Okay? And what a fishless cycle entails is simply providing that ammonia without torturing a living creature, without forcing a creature to live in its own waste and experiencing these burns in this torturous environment. And there are more than one way to do it. One way is to add food, just fish food thrown in the tank, or I've even heard of people taking like cocktail shrimp, the big ones, big cocktail shrimp, throwing them in there. As things rot, as food rots, it produces ammonia. The only problem with this method is it tends to put proteins and biological waste into the water that has to be brought out, and it starts working your system, your filter. This is by no means to say that it's not a good method. It is, but there is another way, and it's cleaner and easier, but also it has its own inherent dangers, and that is simply by adding ammonia. Now people say that, well, adding ammonia, isn't that dangerous? Well, you're not putting the fish in there. So no, there's no danger to your fish. Unless you get the wrong style, the wrong type of ammonia, and that is ammonia that has additives to it. If it's lemon scented, it's going to kill your fish. Okay? Pure and simple. If it has soap in it, it's going to kill your fish. Pure and simple. And I've used part of this. It's already in the water. But what you want to check, if it has an ingredient list, there should be two ingredients on it. That's it. Ammonia and water. Okay? Most likely water will be the first of the two, since there's probably more water in this than ammonia. But if there's anything else listed, you don't need it. Okay? Look for something that has two ingredients. Now this particular bottle of ammonia does not have an ingredient list. So how do I know it's safe? It's quite simple. One, it is clear ammonia. But if I shake it, if there are soaps in here, it's going to foam up. You'll see a lot of foam up here. Okay? Now, when I shake it, I see bubbles. But that's alright. Every liquid, when it's shaken, is going to bring air into it. Create air pockets. That creates the bubbles, and they're going to rise up. Bubbles are fine, but look for foam. Okay? Foam is going to come up and it's going to stay there. Bubbles, they come to the top, they pop, and they're gone. Okay? That's exactly what this is doing. Alright? Now, I got my ammonia. The other important part is to have a test kit. This one is strictly for ammonia, because at this point, that's all I care about. I want to know how much and how high my ammonia is in this water, so that I can start to regulate how much more I need to add, how much time I need to go with it. And what I'm doing, I'll show you the little chart. The yellow is showing that it's at the safe level. Okay? That is perfect. The perfect level. I don't want it there. 0.25 is starting to get a little high. A little water change would probably take care of that. No big deal. 0.50, you're starting to get a little danger zone. 1.0, you need to do something. But see, I want to raise it to 2.0. And the reason being is I'm trying to attract this ammonia, these ammonia eating bacteria into my filter. The more food they have to eat, the more they're going to get in there, and the quicker they're going to multiply, building me a big colony in my aquarium. Alright, so I add just a little bit. This is a 10-gallon tank, and I want to add just a little bit at a time to get up to the 2.0. Alright, now, is this the only time I'm going to put the ammonia in? No, definitely not. I am looking for that 2.0 to drop. And when it drops down to around 1.0, I might add a little bit more. Not necessarily trying to get back up to 2, but just a little bit more, just to keep that bacteria happy, keep it fed. Alright, now as it starts dropping, that means more than likely there's another bacteria starting to form in my filter that takes care of what the byproduct of the ammonia, and that is nitrites. But that means that I still have to feed the ammonia bacteria so that the nitrite eating bacteria can keep having food for that. Alright, now as I keep the ammonia bacteria fed, the ammonia bacteria keeps the nitrite bacteria fed, the nitrite bacteria starts making nitrates. Okay, now ultimately what I'm looking for is 0 amount on my ammonia, 0 amount on my nitrites, and I'm probably going to have a very high nitrate count, and that's good. Okay, that means my tank is cycled. And what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to take 50% of this water out and replace it with fresh water. Me personally, I'm going to let it set overnight, and that will let the water settle in and get everything going. And the next day I will put my fish back in here. I will put my fish in here for the first time, I mean. Sorry. This is a very, very, very important step. Okay. Now, for this tank, it's important because I'm going to be raising betta fry in it, hopefully, if all goes well. But now, if I was keeping fish in here for the life of the tank, it would be even more important because these animals have to be able to survive. And people who use fish for a cycle will often say, well, my fish live 5 years. Well, that's great. That's wonderful. Okay? But I'm willing to bet you, had you not used them to cycle that tank, that fish probably could have lived 6, 7, 8 years instead of 5. Okay? Using fish for a cycle is cruel. It is very harmful to the fish. And there are tests that prove it. You can argue the point all you want. Being a member of DIYFK, DIYFishKeepers.com, we highly recommend that you use a fishless tank cycle. Okay, it is less cruel and it does the job better. Okay, so I highly encourage you, if you are not a member of any of fish forums and you're new to the fish keeping scene, man, join a forum. Okay, my personal recommendation would be DIYFK. Okay, fishkeepers.com. We are very heavy on making and building your own stuff, but we're also very concerned about the care of the animals in our tanks. Okay, we love to help people that are just starting out, and we will continuously do whatever we can to help you. Okay, if you are an experienced fish keeper and you're maybe looking for a different avenue, some new experience for your tank, man, come check us out. We invite you to come. You can experience new filters. You can experience how to build a tank yourself. And it's not always about saving money, but it's always about a new experience. Alright, so that's Mega Phoenix 07, and we'll catch you on the flip side.